All right, mock draft 3.0. Here we go. So before I even show the graphic, let me say this in the front end. So I'm not going to spoil. We know who the number one pick is going to be. It's going to be Cam Ward. Number two, I feel like it seems all reports seem to be trending that it's going to be Travis Hunter to the Cleveland Browns. By the way, just evaluation on Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a little bit like Caleb Williams, is a little bit bigger, stronger, I think, than Caleb, but rocket arm, can play in the pocket, outside the pocket, dealt with not an ideal O-line at Miami. He's going to be suited to kind of help turn that franchise around in Tennessee. I like him a lot. Travis Hunter is a once-in-a-generation type of athlete. Forget football player. He said the other day, I will not play football unless you let me play both positions. My thing is, okay, he's been elite his whole life. What's going to stop him from being elite at the NFL level? He's clearly capable of doing it and winning a darn Heisman at the college level. So Travis Hunter to the Cleveland Browns. I've thought this entire time that the draft starts at number 4 with the New England Patriots, because I think the top 3 players go off the board. Then what does New England do? In recent days, and maybe this is just the last 2 weeks leading up to the draft, there's a whole lot of nothing being spread around. There's conflicting reports. There's anonymous sources. Like, it's just hard to gauge what's real and what's not in the last 2 weeks prior to the draft. I mean, I remember 2 years ago, it felt like C.J. Stroud was going to fall, and he ended up going second overall to the Texans. Like, you just hear a lot of nonsense, intentionally so, from a lot of franchises because they want to position themselves in a certain way to take a certain player. And my idol in this business, Colin Cowherd, has a great saying that if you're facing a tough decision in life or whatever, say it out loud. The say it out loud theory. And the last mock draft, the first one I had Travis Hunter going to the Giants. Then when reports shifted that the Browns were going to take him, I had him going to the Browns, and that's the case now. Mock draft 2.0, Abdul Carter going to the Giants. But I was thinking, okay, say it out loud. The strength of the New York Giants is their defensive line. While Abdul Carter would make it maybe the best defensive line, Brian Dable's job is on the line. The head coach. Joe Shane's job is on the line. The general manager. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson are fine. They're good. We are trying to save our jobs, and there's a first-round talent quarterback on the board. Boom. I think the Giants take Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. Again, say it out loud. The Giants, listen, Abdul Carter make their defensive line unstoppable, but they're already really good on that side. Dexter Lawrence and company. We need to get Shedeur Sanders in the building. He can sit behind. We can maybe even trade a guy like Russell or Jameis or cut them, whatever the case may be. Develop Shedeur Sanders, put ourselves in a position where maybe we can extend our jobs, because Brian Dable helped Daniel Jones get to the playoffs. Joe Shane, for his just atrocious moves in the last offseason, can maybe make up for them if he gets the franchise quarterback with the Giants. Obviously have not had since Eli Manning. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Giants. Abdul Carter then falls to number 4. I think Abdul Carter honestly is the best player in the draft. He falls to number 4 to the New England Patriots, who are just thanking the football gods that this happened. Listen, Will Campbell would be great for the Patriots. That's where I've had him going the last 2 mock drafts, but hang in this spot, it's like, oh my gosh, Abdul Carter goes to a team that's coached by Mike Vrabel. We get a superstar pass rusher. I think Abdul Carter is going to be awesome in the league. I think this is the way the Patriots kind of want it to fall. Going now to the next 4 picks. Listen, this is where you get into the area where you hear a lot of noise and stuff coming out. I think Adam Schefter recently put a tweet that some anonymous executive said, hey, Mason Graham to the Jaguars is not a home run. That probably means that it's going to happen. Mason Graham ends up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Listen, they obviously need interior defensive line help. Mason Graham is far and away the best interior defensive lineman in this year's draft. This is, again, a third verse, same as the first. In all 3 mock drafts, I have Ashton Jeanty going to the Raiders. Everybody in Vegas seems to be vocal that they're going to take a running back. There's the star power of Ashton Jeanty. Second place, the Heisman. Best running back, obviously, in college football a year ago. Pete Carroll loves his superstar running backs. From Reggie Bush at USC to Marshawn Lynch at the Seattle Seahawks. I think Ashton Jeanty is a Vegas Raider. Will Campbell then falls to the New York Jets. I think Will Campbell's the best tackle in this draft. I think, listen, the Jets, they could reach on Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe. I think that would be a horrendous idea for the franchise. Aaron Glenn is trying to set a culture, and not only that, but they just need help on that O-line. That was one of the biggest issues beyond just ability that plagued Aaron Rodgers over the last season with the Jets, is just poor offensive line play. Get the best tackle in the draft, sure that side of the O-line up. Jalen Walker, again, third verse, same as the first. Best pass rusher in this draft after Abdul Carter. He goes to the Carolina Panthers, who desperately need help on the edges. defensively. Next 4 picks, I think Tet McMillan, back to where I had him initially. I believe in my first mock draft, Tet McMillan goes to the New Orleans Saints now that Shedeur Sanders is off the board. I think if Shedeur is on the board, they take him with the Derek Carr injury. But listen, the Saints are in a world. They need to just get the roster right. They need to get past the cap hell that they're in, that they for some reason just held on for dear life post Drew Brees, that they can make a run. That was never realistic. Let's get the best receiver in the draft, put him in. Chris Olave, God bless him, has dealt with a lot of concussions. So listen, if a best case scenario, Olave stays healthy, he's with McMillan, whoever the quarterback is next year, and if they draft one in 2026, makes their job a little bit easier. Amari Hampton, I had him going to the Bears in the last mock draft. I have him going here in this one. I honestly think overall he's a better prospect than Ashton Jeanty. But listen, the Bears were the worst rushing team in the NFL last year. They've done a good job. I've kind of wrestled. Should I have them taking O-lineman, Armand Membo, somebody like that? But they've went out and addressed the O-line in free agency. So I don't think that's going to be a problem for the Bears this season. They've got a great offensive coach in Ben Johnson. Get Caleb Williams a good running game. Really shores up that Bears running game. Armand Membo goes to the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, Trent Williams is a legend. He could retire tomorrow and walk into Canton, Ohio with that gold jacket. But they do need to shore up that offensive line, particularly if Brock Purdy is going to end up being the long-term option, which I think, based on what I'm hearing from a contract perspective, would be a mistake. But you got to protect your asset. Armand Membo goes to the 49ers. And then you got a back-to-back tackles. Kelvin Banks Jr., Texas. It's kind of perfect. Jerry likes, big, not necessarily a big name in the case of Kelvin Banks, but Texas is a big-time brand, big-time school, obviously same state. Dallas, there's the retirement of Tyron Smith, which he was already gone, obviously, last year with the Jets. Zach Martin's gone. Like the old great Dallas offensive lines from the 2010s are gone. The remains are nowhere to be found. Let's try and see if we can help Dak Prescott protect him a little bit. They need to draft wide receiver desperately, but I feel like any of the wide receivers at 12 will be a bit of a reach. Other than Tet McMillan, Kelvin Banks Jr. at 12 is the right pick at this point for Dallas. Next 4 picks, Miami Dolphins. I switched up a little bit. I had them going Josh Simmons the last 2 drafts, the tackle of Ohio State. In this case, they're seeking a trade for Jalen Ramsey. So in this case, let's just replace Jalen Ramsey and get the best corner in the draft. 2 Longhorns go back-to-back. Jedi Barron goes corner out of Texas to the Dolphins. The best tight end in this draft, in my opinion, one of the 5 best players in this draft, Tyler Warren, goes to a team that desperately needs help at tight end. That is the Indianapolis Colts. Tyler Warren is a fantastic fit there. He's an awesome talent at the time position at Penn State. He goes to Indianapolis. Listen, the Falcons need help off the edge. I've had them alternating between James Pierce, and in this case, I'm settling on Michael Williams, the edge out of Georgia. I think he's a great fit there. It's amazing. The second best pass rusher out of Georgia is going to the top 15. Shows you how great the Bulldogs develop their defenses. But Michael Williams goes to the Falcons. By the way, playing on turf, indoors, in Atlanta, staying in state. It'd be really popular to the fans, and it'd be a great pick for the Falcons. Jahad Campbell, who I've had falling a little bit the last couple mock drafts, not in this spot. I think he goes to the Arizona Cardinals, allows them to get some help off the edge, which they desperately need. Next 4 picks, all 3 mock drafts have had the Bengals going with the corner. Will Johnson's the second best corner on the board this year. He out of Michigan. He goes to the Bengals, who just need, outside of Trey Hendrickson, who we're waiting on a deal, but it looks like probably is going to stay in Cincinnati. Let's address the back end of that defense, which we have just pretty much just let fall apart, particularly in free agency the last couple of years. Let's get Will Johnson in. Matthew Golden, receiver out of Texas, goes to the Seahawks at 18. I have felt this entire time that Seattle's going to go with the wide receiver, particularly after they traded DK Metcalf to my Steelers and let Tyler Lockett walk in free agency. Put him with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Matthew Golden is a burner, and that'd be really helpful with a guy like Sam Darnold, who we know has a big arm. James Pierce Jr., my man out of the University of Tennessee, goes to Tampa. They've been looking for a great pass rusher for some time now. He goes to the Buccaneers. And Emeka Egbuka, I'm really high on this kid. He goes to the Denver Broncos. Help Bo Nix out. Put him in a Sean Payton offense, put him opposite Courtland Sutton. That can be an even better Denver Broncos offense than what it was last year when Bo Nix, I believe, threw 29 touchdown passes as a rookie. Going to the next 4 picks, starting with my Pittsburgh Steelers. I hope and pray that if Shedeur's off the board, that this is the position we go. Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State. I think this would actually be a kind of a bargain for the Steelers, getting him at 21. Listen, we know the weakness of this Pittsburgh Steelers team, other than quarterback, is offensive line, which has obviously affected quarterback play over the last half decade or so. Get the O-line right, and for the love of God, Tomlin, develop an O-line at some point. Josh Simmons goes to the Steelers. Please don't take Jackson Dart. Please, I'm begging you. I will be not as skeptical if you take Jalen Milroe, but I still think at 21, that's a huge reach on a project of a prospect. Get the O-line right, draft Josh Simmons, second straight year that the Steelers would draft, I believe second or third straight year third straight year that they would draft an offensive lineman, which they need to do. Colston Loveland's the second best tight end. He goes to the Chargers. Is this not just... It's not just a classic Jim Harbaugh pick just because it's a Michigan Wolverine and Jim Harbaugh coach Colston Loveland, but you put him in. Listen, I last mock draft I had Matthew Golden going there, but I was actually talking to a buddy of mine. He said, yeah, but he's a burner, and Lab McConkey's kind of a burner. So, like, stylistically, it doesn't make a ton of sense. So put Colston Loveland there, give Justin Herbert a good safety valve, which he really hasn't had at the side of position in Los Angeles. I think that'd be a really good fit for the Chargers. My sister's favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, go Shamar Stewart out of A&M. This is more of an upside pick than a production pick, but the Packers have a history of doing that. They take Shamar Stewart at 23. Azaria Thomas out of Florida State goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Again, their defense is really good up front. They need help in the secondary. Next four picks. I think it is imperative that the Houston Texans go offensive line this draft. They go Josh Connerly. At this point, is the best tackle on the board out of Oregon. Jaden Higgins, receiver out of Iowa State, goes to the LA Rams. How about that? Listen, what's better than Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams? Oh, let's take one of the most talented young receivers and put him in our group. And I think the Rams are going for it right now. This will give them an even better shot to go on a deep playoff run. And who knows what they'll do even after the first round of the draft. Les Snead, one of the best GMs out there. Walter Nolan, interior lineman out of Ole Miss, will go to the Baltimore Ravens. This is kind of a classic Baltimore pick. SEC guy, interior D-line. This kind of fits their mold and what they like to do. Mike Green, edge out of Marshall. I had him going to Buffalo the last two mock drafts, but again, high upside guy, top 15 potential player on the board. Listen, you put him opposite Aiden Hutchinson, comes back healthy. All of a sudden, there were rumors last year. Oh, could you get Max Crosby and put him opposite Aiden Hutchinson? I'm not saying Mike Green's gonna be Max Crosby. Obviously, he's one of the best pass rushers in the game, but could really, really make a day one impact on this Detroit team that we know. Might as well just go exclusively defense in this draft. They've addressed in free agency. DJ Reed was a good move, but that is the problem right now with the Lions. Offense is not their issue. Go get Mike Green at this point. Certainly the best edge rusher available out of Marshall. Last four picks of the first round. Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon, goes to the Washington Commanders. You move on from Jonathan Allen, kind of replace him on that interior. Nick Imamori from the safety from South Carolina. The Bills need, we saw in that playoff game and throughout the course of the season, back into their defense is just atrocious. They've got to address it if a pass rusher isn't available. Quinshaw Judkins had him going to Kansas City last mock draft. That remains the same today. Chiefs do need help in that running game, and I've kind of just swapped a bunch of guys with Philly. It's like, hey, who do the Eagles want? Because they really don't have a genuine hole in their roster. So what the heck? Let's just get another receiver. Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles at number 32 to round out the first round of my final mock draft 3.0. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.